My daughter-in-law stood up at the dinner table, lifted her wine glass, pointed directly at my wife, and said something that made the entire room burst into laughter. My son laughed too. The woman they were laughing at was the same woman who had sacrificed her dreams, her sleep, and 35 years of her life to build our family. They thought it was just a joke. 72 hours later, they were standing in my office, pale and desperate, realizing that one careless moment had destroyed everything they thought they owned. And for the first time in my life, I chose my wife over my children. My name is Richard Hayes. I am 68 years old, and until that week, I believed my family was strong enough to survive anything. I had spent for decades building a successful commercial construction company from nothing. When I started, I had one rusty pickup truck, a borrowed toolbox, and more determination than common sense. There were nights when I slept inside unfinished buildings because I could not afford a hotel room. There were months when my wife, Evelyn, stretched $20 farther than I thought was humanly possible. If my company became successful, it was because of her. Evelyn never appeared in business magazines. Nobody handed her awards. She never sat in executive meetings. But every brick of my success rested on sacrifices she made without complaint. She raised our son, Brandon, while I worked 18-hour days. She managed our bills when money was tight. She comforted me after failed projects. She believed in me when I was ready to quit. By the time I reached retirement age, our company employed hundreds of people and generated millions of dollars every year. I thought Brandon understood what his mother had done for us. I was wrong. The change began after Brandon married Vanessa. At first, Vanessa seemed charming. She was intelligent, polished, and ambitious. She came from a wealthy family and carried herself with the confidence of someone who had never heard the word no. Evelyn welcomed her with open arms. She treated Vanessa like the daughter she never had. When Vanessa forgot birthdays, Evelyn made excuses for her. When Vanessa skipped family events, Evelyn said she was busy. When Vanessa made rude comments, Evelyn pretended not to notice. I noticed. I simply hoped things would improve. Instead, they got worse. As Brandon became more successful within my company, he slowly started changing. The humble young man we raised disappeared behind expensive suits and an inflated ego. The more money he made, the more he seemed embarrassed by the people who helped him get there. Especially his mother. Looking back, the warning signs were obvious. At gatherings, Brandon rarely asked Evelyn how she was doing. Vanessa treated her more like household staff than family. Neither of them realized I was paying attention. Then came the dinner that changed everything. It was supposed to be a celebration. Brandon and Vanessa had recently purchased a massive new home. They invited relatives, friends, business associates, and neighbors to show it off. The house looked more like a luxury resort than a family residence. Everything about the evening seemed designed to impress people. Luxury cars lined the driveway. A string quartet played near the entrance. Waiters carried trays of expensive appetizers. Every conversation somehow found its way back to Brandon and Vanessa. Their success, their lifestyle, their future. I noticed Evelyn quietly helping throughout the evening. She carried serving dishes. She helped organize food. She cleaned small messes before anyone noticed them. Not because she was asked to, because that was simply who she was. She saw work and handled it. Near the end of the evening, everyone gathered around the dining area for a toast. Vanessa stood first. She tapped her glass and smiled. The room became quiet. She thanked guests for coming. She talked about their beautiful new home. She praised Brandon. Then her eyes shifted toward Evelyn. A smile appeared on her face, the kind of smile that usually arrives just before cruelty. She raised her glass. Then she said, "A round of applause for the maid. She has been working harder than anyone here tonight." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then laughter exploded. People laughed because they thought it was a joke. Some guests looked uncomfortable. Others laughed harder. But the sound that hurt most was Brandon, my own son. He laughed right along with everyone else. I looked at Evelyn. Her smile remained on her face, but her eyes told a different story. 35 years of sacrifice, reduced to a punchline. I felt something inside me break. Not anger, something deeper. Disappointment, the kind that changes how you see someone forever. I stood up slowly. The laughter faded. I walked toward my wife, took her hand, looked directly at Brandon. Then I said, "We are leaving." Nobody stopped us. Nobody apologized. As we walked out, I heard nervous whispers behind us, but the damage had already been done. The drive home was quiet. Evelyn stared out the window. I kept both hands on the steering wheel because I was afraid that if I looked at her, I would lose control of my emotions. Finally she spoke. "Richard, Maybe she did not mean it that way. No. Over the next 2 days, I met with attorneys, financial advisors, and board members. The succession plan changed completely. Ownership structures were revised. Trust agreements were rewritten. Several executive appointments were canceled. Brandon knew none of this. Neither did Vanessa. Meanwhile, word about the dinner quietly spread throughout our family and business circles. People who attended started talking. Many were disturbed by what happened. Several employees who adored Evelyn contacted me privately. The more people heard the story, the worse Brandon and Vanessa looked. Then came the third day, 72 hours after the dinner. I asked Brandon to meet me at headquarters. He arrived with Vanessa. Both looked confident. That confidence disappeared the moment they entered my office. My attorney sat beside me. Several board members were present. Stacks of documents covered the conference table. Brandon immediately sensed something was wrong. "Dad, what is all this?" I folded my hands. "Have a seat." They sat down. Vanessa glanced nervously around the room. I began speaking calmly. "For years, I planned to hand this company to you. I believed you understood what built it. Hard work, respect, loyalty, family. Apparently I was mistaken." Brandon frowned. "Dad, what are you talking about?" I looked directly at him. "Your mother spent her entire life helping build everything you see. And when she was publicly humiliated, you laughed." The room became silent. Vanessa shifted uncomfortably. Brandon tried to defend himself. "It was a joke." "No." I shook my head. "A joke is funny. Humiliation is not." Then I slid the documents across the table. "The succession plan has been canceled." The color drained from his face. "What? You heard me. The company will no longer transfer automatically to you." His expression changed from confusion to panic. "Dad, you cannot be serious." I remained calm. "I have never been more serious." Vanessa finally spoke. "This is ridiculous. You are overreacting." Several board members exchanged looks. I almost laughed. Even now, she still did not understand. I leaned forward. "Do you know what is ridiculous? Thinking that wealth gives you permission to disrespect good people. Thinking success makes you better than others. Thinking kindness is weakness." Nobody spoke. The silence felt heavy. Brandon looked devastated, but for the first time, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Not fear of losing me. Fear of losing power. Fear of losing money. Fear of losing the future he believed belonged to him. That realization hurt more than anything. The meeting ended shortly afterward. Neither Brandon nor Vanessa knew what to say. As they left, Brandon stopped at the doorway. "Dad." I looked up. His eyes were red. "I am sorry." For a moment, I wanted to believe him. But some apologies arrive only after consequences appear. And those apologies rarely mean much. Weeks passed. Brandon called repeatedly. At first, I ignored him. Then one evening, Evelyn asked me to answer. That was who she was. Always searching for healing. Never revenge. We agreed to meet. The conversation lasted nearly 4 hours. For the first time in years, Brandon listened instead of talking. He heard stories about sacrifices he had forgotten. He learned things his mother never told him. The nights she skipped meals so he could eat. The jobs she worked quietly to support us. The dreams she abandoned for our family. By the end of the conversation, he was crying. Real tears. Not tears for money. Tears for shame. Months later, he apologized publicly to his mother in front of our entire family. No excuses. No explanations. Just accountability. Vanessa struggled much longer. Pride can be difficult to overcome. But eventually she apologized too. Whether the lesson fully changed her, I still do not know. People reveal their true character over time, not in speeches. Today, Evelyn and I spend most of our days together. We travel. We enjoy our grandchildren. We appreciate the peace we earned. Our relationship with Brandon continues to heal, but it will never be exactly what it was before. Some moments permanently change a family. That dinner was one of them. If there is one lesson I learned from all this, it is simple. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Never forget the people who helped build your life. And never laugh when someone humiliates the person who sacrificed everything for you. Because karma has a way of arriving quietly, and when it finally shows up, it rarely knocks before walking through the door. Respect is worth more than money. The people who stand beside you during your hardest years deserve honor during your best years. When gratitude disappears, consequences are usually not far behind.